Okay, now let's work on the base where everything's going to sit on. So right here I got a 1x6x8 pressure treated. You could probably use cedar if you wanted to, cedar planks. What I got to do first is rip this in half. So I'm going to rip it about 2 5/8. So I'll have two pieces, that 2 5/8. So the outer ring of the base, each side is going to be 12-inch point to point. So we're going to utilize both those pieces. I need 8 pieces at 12-inch point to point. So I'll cut 8 of those. It's already started one, so I'm just going to flip it. It's already at my 12 mark where I need it. Oh, and these are 22.5 degrees. I didn't mention that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pocket hole on this side, on the back end. I'm going to use this construction adhesive it's a Gorilla product. It's good for pressure treated and good for, especially with the end grain. So I got 1.5 brads. Use an 1.25 exterior pocket holes first. Okay, now we're going to do the outer walls. They're going to be 12 inches point to point, 22.5 degrees. I'm going to do the legs. It's in the first video I made, the octaplanter. It's all detailed in that video. Or you can make it out of cedar, which is I'm going to do the trellis out of cedar, and you could do the corners the same, but maybe the corner is a little wider than I'm going to make, but you'll see how I do that. The walls I'm going to do, because I also using this profile, I like the look, and I also rip them to a consistency. This one's 5 inches, but it's just, I find it easier to rip in them, making them the same consistency. It's just easier for laying out. I'm going to cut 16 of these, put this together, and then we'll set a floor. Okay, now let's put our legs on. I cut these at 10 3/4, and I painted them black, stained them, add some of this glue. I think I'll just pin it for now. And then I'll go back with some 1.5 brads. Okay, now we'll put our floor down. We'll lay them all this way, 27 3/4, and we'll do 2 of those. About 1/4 inch, and then we'll leave that for drainage. We will be putting another ring like this on the bottom for the other planter for support. Okay, we're going to be making a second tier, the middle tier. That's going to be 3 rows up instead of 2. We'll make that first, and then we'll make a support ring, and then we'll put it underneath. So I think we're going to do 6-inch walls, point to point. The first 2 tiers are going to be just plain, and then the last tier that it's going to show, I'm going to have this shiplap design on it. So let's make those first, and then we'll make some support corners for the inside, and we'll make those out of cedar. Should be about 15. So we're going to make some inside corner support legs, one of your pickets. We're going to do 22.5 here, 22.5 on our table saw. Then we'll straighten it up and come in 1.25 inch, and we'll do that twice. So we should get 4 pieces out of this. And we straighten this back up. Wish I had 2 table saws so I don't have to keep doing this. So we're going to go 1.25 inch, and then we'll just rip that, and then we'll do it again. And rinse, repeat. I'm going to use the chop saw, put a stop block so they're all the same. Then we'll be right back to assemble. So I'm just going to cut all these at 15 inches, set my stop block, and then assemble. Okay, so let's set these aside for a minute. Get our legs together, set it up, glue it, and then I'll set a few pin nails. Let it. Then I can go back and put a couple brads in, give it a little extra holding support. But once it's glued, it's a strong joint. It'll tighten up if you just move it around a little bit. It'll set up a second, and we just pin nail it. Put a layer around. We'll start our first row. Glue these and pin them, and then we'll put our inside corners in. So we'll get our first row going. Okay, now we're going to do gluing these together. We'll nail it. Okay, and do our top layer. Okay, we're going to get this set up. Okay, now we're going to take our pressure treated. We're going to cut 6 1/4 tip to tip, and we'll do 8 of those at 22 1/2. That'll be our support for underneath for the center tier. Okay, now we're going to do the same as the first support. We're going to pocket hole, Gorilla Glue it, pin it. Okay, we'll take this over to our planner, flip the planner upside down, and we'll center this. Just set this here. Do this. Center it. We'll go ahead and pop it. Get that set. Flip it. Okay. Okay, now we're just going to get an idea where this is. So what we're going to do here is once we get it kind of center where we want, we'll draw a line, mark it, then we'll glue it, set it down, we'll pin it. Then we're going to flip it around and drill from the back some screws, and we'll put it on the back side to hold it down. A couple screws in. Toenail it. I'll just get a measurement from the outside, which is 7 3/16. So I'm going to go in about 7 3/8 from the edge. And I'm going to screw it down. Looks good. Along with the glue and these screws all around, gives it that tensile strength, which means it won't pull out versus shear strength. So we're just worried about the tensile strength. Screwed from the bottom, and then we're screwing down, so this thing will not pull up. And the glue. So she's pretty secure. Okay, what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill some holes. This is about a 3/8 bit, some more drainage in the flat parts. I will be putting some fabric in here, inside here and here. Okay, what I want to do now is we're going to cut our top trim. So this one I'm going to do 2 inches wide. This one I'm going to do about 1.5 inches wide. 6 3/4. This one's going to be 12 3/4. Okay, these are the 2 inch, the smaller one. Use some CA glue with some pin nails and some regular glue. Okay, now the big one. Okay, so I don't like this, so I'm going to go 1 3/4 wide, just so it kind of covers that lip. So technically, you could stop here and have a two-tiered planter. I think would look pretty cool, but we're going to go a next step up, and I'm going to add a tower for the lighthouse with a trellis design. For that, we'll make another lip a little wider. We'll put that together, and then we can bolt the two together in case I need to take it off. Okay, so I did drip it just a hair, like 2 3/16, and I went just a hair under 7. should be about perfect. So I'm just going to put these together. Set that aside. Okay, now we're going to make the upright, the cylinder part. In order to do that, it's going to have a slight taper, but I need to make the support legs first. And this is going to have a trellis look, so I'm going to have a plant inside growing through it. It's going to be kind of cool. To make them uprights, we're just going to go to the table saw, take 2 picket. We'll come over, do the bevel at 22.5, come over 3/4, and then just start ripping 3/4 out. That should give us enough to put 8 uprights together. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. Go over here to the table saw, about 3/4, and come over here. So you just want your pointed side up. You don't want it down because it'll slide up underneath your fence. We'll do that till we have enough legs to put together. Okay, so you should have 16 all together. All we're going to do is put your bevel sides together like so. Then we'll glue it and pin nail it. It actually does make a strong joint. So that's what we'll do is we'll do the glue, pin nail. I think I'm going to go to 3/4 inch. So just don't nail the very ends because we will put a slight taper on these. And we won't know the final length until we're done with our trellis part. And then we can just handsaw the top off. Okay, we're going to let our support uprights set up. We'll turn our attention to the base. So I'm going to go like a 2.5 degree. You're going to take your miter at a 1 degree, and then your bevel is at 22.5. So it's not much. So you're slightly moving your miter saw at 1 degree. So I'll show you. And we're going to start out at 6 inch, point to point, and that should taper up as we go. So as you can see, it's just not very much. So we're going to go about a 1 degree. Then we're going to tilt our bevel at 22.5. So we'll do the first cut. I'm going to go 6 inches. I'm going to set my block. Very slight. So we're going to have to keep track of what side we want. Which I did not. I want this side out. If you don't have a finished side, don't worry about it. You can just keep flipping, alternating. Okay, now we're going to glue these together. Make sure you keep the wide end on the bottom. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, which you probably don't have to, but I'm going to set my miter saw up to 2.5 degrees and then just cut this bottom. I'm going to go in. I mean, you could just set it like that and then just start nailing because it'll follow that contour. But I'm just going to cut these at 2.5 degrees. I'll show you. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt this to the right, between 2.5, something like that. I'm just going to set my legs on flat, and I'm just cutting it a hair this way. Don't forget to change your back to 0, your miter. Okay, now I'm going to switch to 1 inch pins, and I'll do brad nails to make it more secure. What I'm going to do is take your bottom, set it in, and it'll sit in that pocket. Glue it and pin it. Make sure you put the glue right to it. Okay, now I'm going to rip some strips about 1.5 inches. So I think I'll start with 2 pickets. Okay, so I got about 6 strips of 1.5 inches. So I'm just using a 5 inch, and I just need a measurement from this corner to this corner. Draw a line. Do that all the way around. We just need a point-to-point measurement. 5 3/16. Okay, so remember our miter is 1 degree and our bevel's 22.5. Our first row is going to be point-to-point, 5 3/16. I need the inside, not the outside, 5 3/16. So keeping this all the way it is, I need to measure. So that's the high point. So I need to measure from here over 5 3/16, then flip it. Basically what it's going to do is come up this way to that point. So I just need to eyeball it. Or stop block. Okay. Test this. Okay, now we're good. So I need 8 of those. Then we'll do our next row. Almost didn't record this. So all I'm doing is lining up the edges. I have to manipulate here and there just to move this as you need to. Make sure the taper's the right way. It's kind of hard to see. Looks like we need to bring these in a little bit. Squeeze it. Should be good. Next row. Just rinse and repeat. Just get my line all the way across. Okay, yours are probably going to vary, so you're just going to have to do that. Verify your measurements. This one is that one's about 4 15/16. So I painted the inside. I wish I'd have known. Should have thought of it before, but oh well. I'll just go back through after and paint these after I glue these. But had I thought, I would have painted the backs and the sides before I installed it. So now the next layer. Be working off the floor here before too long. Getting too tall. Okay, I've got all my slats done up to this point. So the next tier to the top, I'm going to go 2.5 inches. I'm going to 2.5 inches wide, and I'm going to build my lighthouse top on top of this. Should give me a reveal. Okay, so I need to put this on the table, easier to work with. So what's going to happen next is I got to make a ring around this. We're going to be cutting this flush. I'm going to let the glue set up a little more. And what I mean by a ring is basically it's going to look like a little crown. It'll set over top. This is a mock-up I did for my mock-up piece, Lighthouse. In essence, there's going to be 8 of these little pieces. So I'm going to take a 2-foot piece and we're cut 45s, and they'll sit basically like this. And that'll kind of create a support for our top. Let me show you how to do this. Like I'm going to cut a 2-foot piece, and these are 2 inches wide at 45s. And you just line this edge up, tilt your saw blade to 45. You just want to get roughly around 2 inches. You just do that twice, and I'll show you how to cut it on the miter saw. Okay, so we need 4 1/8 between here and here. So which is the bottom part will be 4 1/8. So it sits like that, or it flares out. So I'll show you how to cut this on the miter saw. Okay, see how it's flared like this? We're going to be setting it against the table saw, or I'm sorry, we're going to set it against the miter saw, just like that. So basically this will be the bottom. You have to set your 22.5. Okay, from this point, measure 4 1/8. And just turn it, 22.5. Eyeball it, and we'll put a stop block. Make sure your blade comes to a complete stop before you pick this up, because then it'll flip this piece out because it's stuck into here. If you don't want it so short, you can just make your piece a little longer so you can hold on this side. 4 of them. So you can do one more set. Okay, we'll put it upside down so it's easier, so it sits on the table. We'll do some CA glue, some wood glue. This might be a little hard to pin while it's sitting like this. CA glue should hold it. Little pain, but it worked. Just go through and pin it up. Okay, I'm just gonna put a support piece across for my platform. Now all I'm gonna do is just 11 1/4, rip one about 4 inches wide, and then just 45 the ends. Okay, rip the piece 4 inch. Now I'll just go 45 tip to tip, 11 1/4. And we just glue and pin nail it. Okay, now I'm gonna make a platform. Basically, it's going like this. So I'm gonna do point to point, 5 3/4. Okay, so we'll do 8 at 5 3/4, point to point at 22.5 degrees. Okay, now I'm just gonna CA glue and wood glue. I'm not gonna pin nail it as of yet, and I'll show you why after. So we'll sand this out, fix these seams. Oh no, it's pretty good. Okay, painted this piece, so that'll sit on top, and then we'll have this on. I'll probably drill a hole here for drainage too. So we're gonna do a 4-inch walls. We're gonna cut 3 1/4 point to point. So I'll get like a 30-inch piece. Cut it, rip it in 4 inch. Here's our pieces, 4 inches wide, 22.5 degree, 3 1/4. And just glue and pin nail. This will get sanded and painted black. Okay, I need to put a little platform on this. So I'm gonna rip some pieces 2 1/4. So it'll be like this one, but I'll rip it 2 1/4, point to point, 3 3/4. Glue and pin nail, and set that there. So technically you could be done with this, clear coat it, set it on your tower. But I'm going to go a little step further. I'm going to be making kind of decorative railing support. And I did this on that miter jig. It's notched out to sit snugly on that, glue it, and then I'll just, kind of make some little railing. The reason I didn't put any pins in here is I'm going to take this on the miter saw and just cut a flat surface. And then this will just sit on it. But that last video, which was the shop talk, I showed you how to, to make that jig, and you can make stuff like this. I showed you how to make this one, but you can do variations of, whatever design you want. I can give you the measurements of this, and we'll make this one on the saw. So basically what I did with these, center this hole, and these are 1/4 inch dowel threads, thread it all the way. We'll drill a hole here in the center. We'll go to the base for this one, and I'll install those. I'm using a 3/16 inch bit. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of line this up with our lathe and just get it kind of where you want it. And I'll just do the same thing. I think there's a tool that you can get to thread these in. I'm just going to take some pliers and I'll just do that. And then we just tighten it down right there, and that's it. So when it rains, it pours. So I was making some planters for an auction for a non-profit organization, and my chop saw crapped the bed. So I end up having to finish just a couple pieces, my little spindles and the railing at someone's house. So the only other thing I had to do was cut this. That's why I didn't nail the brad nail this in. So you just set your miter saw up, and then 22 and a half these spots to accept. I'll end up gluing and nailing these in. But yeah, bad news, my luck. So I'll just basically clear coat, assemble, and lost the bolts, or I can't find the bolts. So I was going to bolt the trellis down. So right now I'll put some screws in it and a liner. Anyway, let's assemble this. Oh, this, and I'm just going to screw this down. Link in the description for this, if anybody wants to make one of these. Let's get to assembling. Oh, and these, I get the dimensions if anybody wants to do this. There's the community page. I'll have that in there too. So. Okay, all I'm doing here is I had cut these, and I'm just going point to point. These are at 45 degrees. So basically you just measure from where it touches to here. And this one's roughly 5 7/16. Should work out just fine. So I'm using a 1-inch block as a spacer. Okay, well, I found some wood screws. Got the top on. Make sure she comes on. All right, so I think to keep my options open, I'm just gonna put some screws in for now, and I'll just touch them up black. I'll set it on top. So here you go. Got a mandevilla starting to train up, going through. I forgot what these lower ones are. But they were just put in, so you need time to rejuvenate. But this mandevilla should grow up all the way up to the top and then some. But yeah, it lights up pretty cool at night. The video really doesn't show very good, but I got a picture, but I'll show like an ending. I'll show a little bit of video at night of it. We have to get those flowers teased up in the morning. We can get a better shot at it during the day. Looks pretty cool though. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. All right, bye guys.